When we pick up a prescription at the pharmacy, get a vaccine,
Ow.
or even apply makeup, most of us do not think about how these products ended up on the market. The truth is that many of these everyday items were made by experimenting on animals, which can be harmful and at times fatal for animals such as pigs, rabbits, and monkeys. Sure, it's morbid to think about what an animal must go through for research, but animal testing is a fundamental element in gaining new knowledge and saving human lives. This brings upon the controversy of whether the benefits of animal testing outweigh the consequences. Animal testing goes back to the BC era, when ancient researchers' curiosities led to the first of these experiments. Much of our own knowledge in the medical field are based on our animal testing. Animal testing has had given us many medical benefits, according to the Foundation for Biomedical Research. Thanks to mice, we have many of the cancer-fighting drugs that we use today. Experimenting on monkey brain function has allowed scientists to pinpoint where exactly in the brain that humans suffer from Alzheimer's disease.
I think in everyone's best interest, you wouldn't want to give a drug to a family member or have them test it out unless it was tested in something else prior.
Professor Din works in the biology department at Santa Ana College and started her experience with animal testing as an undergrad at UC Davis, from studying cell culture work to the development of skeletal muscle fiber types. Din did lesion studies, which includes inflicting pain in an animal in order to observe how the brain rewires itself during her graduate career at UC Irvine. Procedures can be classified as mild, moderate, or severe based upon the amount of pain, suffering, or distress that the animal will experience. Din can say that the experiments she has been a part of have been mild and animals are expected to recover.
The mouse is so young that they recover quite quickly. We return them back to their mom and they go about their normal business. The treatment afterwards, we give them basically like pain medication, but other than that, they're pretty fine, it seems.
Researchers do need to follow policies and regulations that were put in place to protect animals. The animals are given to them from databases that are dedicated to providing animals for experiments.
So, for instance, if you're doing C. elegans work, then there's a database, I think they're based in Minnesota, I believe, where you can order through a research facility and they'll send it to you. In our case, we were doing a lot of mouse work, so there's the Jackson Mouse Laboratory, where they have a repository of a bunch of different strains. So those strains could be anywhere from a normal wild-type mouse to a mouse that, say, has a mutation in, like, that would cause it to have Alzheimer's, for instance.
Animals are accessible for experiments, but Din believes that the 3 R's should be followed: replacement, reduction, and refinement, to make sure that no animal life is wasted.
I definitely think that there are rules in place about being very responsible and cognizant of how much animals you use or what you use them for.
We have all heard of animal testing for various reasons: medicine, research, and cosmetics. Should one be prioritized?
Again, this is my opinion, but I think that I would be more comfortable using animals for disease or health research. I understand why people use animals for cosmetic research because, again, it's something that you're going to be putting on your face or your body. But I do think that there should be more emphasis in terms of like how much animals you use. I think that more of it should be dedicated for understanding human diseases, just because that to me is more important.
There is no denying the controversy of animal testing. People agree with it or they can be totally against it. However, some still continue to consume products that have been tested on animals and claim to be against it.
I do think that it doesn't make sense for you to take something that is going to benefit you but not believe in how it was done.
Dr. Storms, along with many more, believe that animal testing brings about many positives. It helps discover medications and cures that help humans live. To him, animal testing is necessary because it decreases the amount of human lives that are lost. He agrees that if there were ever a proposition to be voted on regarding banning the use of animal testing, he would vote against it. Dr. Storms works at a food testing lab where he does not perform testing on live animals, but admits to working in previous laboratories where he did.
In my experience, it's kind of hard sometimes, but the value of it is that it can be used to save lives. So where I was working, we were studying how the liver clears drugs, and we were using rats as a model to help build models for the use of anesthesia so that these patients would have a better survival rate.
Dr. Storms was asked if testing for cosmetics was irrelevant versus using it for medical purposes.
I think in either case, it needs to be taken with care.
However, he considers medical purposes to have a priority over the experiments done by the cosmetic industry. Dr. Storms perpetuates the idea that scientists do care about the animals being tested on, so they try and hurt them only when necessary, which might be contrary to popular belief.
Most scientists that I've known in my career, value animals, and so we want to do the work with the least amount of discomfort to the animal.
Dr. Storms claims that he would consider his experience with animal testing moral and sympathetic. He emphasizes that at the end of the day, animal testing is difficult because of the emotional attachment. However, the value of it is that it can be used for the greater good.
I've heard of people who don't really care about animals, but I think in general, the scientists I've known actually become very attached in some cases to their animal models.
During experiments, Dr. Storms claims that they become quite attached to the creatures because of all the time they spend with them.
It would be a really sad day when the animals had to be sacrificed.
A few students seemed to be on the fence about animal testing. They were concerned about the well-being of the animals, but were aware of the benefits. They deemed it as necessary.
Like, if you don't use it on animals, then you'll have to use it on humans, and that's like harming humans.
I don't think that's right. I mean, like you said, obviously we can't test them out on people because we don't know the type of reaction you'll get, but like, we shouldn't do it with animals either. We're kind of just using them for our own benefit and for experimentation.
It's cruel, but at the same time, we kind of need it to save people's lives.
Some sympathize with the animals.
I don't feel like it's a good thing. I mean, they're also alive.
Us as humans, we feel, so why wouldn't they feel?
One was more clear in his stance. He believed that humans are in no place to conduct these experiments and explained his thoughts clearly.
I don't support it just because I don't feel like it's our right as humans to test products that we don't really know much about on animals, just because they're very vulnerable themselves since they can't really protect themselves. I personally would be against it just because I feel like animals are very vulnerable, and I feel like since they don't really have the choice, and sometimes we kind of just do it.
Another student who opposed animal testing even suggested banning animal testing altogether and using a different species for testing: humans.
I feel like if it's for humanity, they could just get volunteers. That's why there should be volunteers, so if anything happens to the person, they volunteer.
4 freshmen were asked more in-depth questions regarding the issue. What's your name and grade?
Albert, and I'm in 9th. In the medical research field, they can develop organs from researching these animals. There could be many benefits to it. In beauty and makeup, they could develop cool mascara.
I am Jose Garcia, and I am in 9th grade. In my opinion, I don't really like it because not only does it harm animals, but if they end up failing in the product, they just harm the animal for nothing.
My name is Alexis, and I'm in the 9th grade. I think it's okay. I mean, the majority of the world does consist of animals, and the animal body is close to that of our human body.
One student interviewed was Ashley Navarro. She is undecided on this issue for several reasons.
There's many benefits to animal testing, finding out many cures and stuff like that. But there's also negative impacts that can hurt the animals, and I'm not really comfortable.
She believes that animal testing, regardless if it is medical or for the cosmetic industry, is cruel.
It's kind of like animal cruelty because you're hurting the animals, and either way, even if you didn't test it on humans, there's another way to do it instead of testing it on animals.
However, she does think that the benefits that come from research outweigh all the animal lives lost to these experiments. Because of that, she opposes a ban on animal testing.
We would need to test animals for medical purposes because there can be many good things that can come out of that.
All of these students and professionals have shared their different perspectives and opinions regarding animal testing and its effect on them and humans. Animal testing continues to be very controversial and has many people debating on whether or not experimenting on animals outweighs its consequences. There is no right or wrong side to this debate, as many have strong, biased opinions for and against the issue. For instance, would the death of 100 pigs who could revolutionize cancer treatments be reasonable? Should people prioritize medicine and scientific research over cosmetic research, or should they both be viewed equally? What are your thoughts?